Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
While you're in sunny Florida, be sure to visit
Warlando! Into a world of epic adventure.
Here we are, guys.
All right.
This is the first time the three of us have sat in the same room trying to record something.
That is true, yeah.
After years of conversation
Yes,
about doing this.
Many conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
It is.
So here we are.
Yeah.
Welcome to Warlando.
Warlando!
Ah!
Yeah.
My name is Adam. I am one of your three hosts. And with us tonight, we also have...
Yes, I am Mark.
And...
Nicholas.
Yeah, that's the three of us. We are the founders of Warlando. We are doing our Warlando podcast. We're going to talk about Warhammer. We're going to talk about Age of Sigmar. We're going to talk about maybe sometimes 40K, maybe sometimes Dungeons and Dragons. Talk about all kinds of pop culture stuff that we're excited about and how they all kind of meld together to make this like great entertainment that we share with each other.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I think I have a good feeling we're going to talk about it all.
Yeah, eventually we're going to cover everything.
Oh, yeah.
Because we are the three Warlando people.
We're the three Warlandos.
The three Warlandos.
Oh!
I think we're supposed to do all three of that together.
Oh, gee, sorry.
Yeah, with the hands on the hips.
Yeah. Oh!
And we're supposed to be on horseback when we do it, though.
Oh, that's true. We got to get horses.
If anyone ever listens to this, it's probably only 10% of people that remember the Three Amigos movie.
Probably.
But the three of us remember it, so
Great
that's good.
movie. Go out right now to your local Blockbuster and pick it up. Wait, they don't have those anymore?
Oh, man, no, there's one in Alaska.
Nope.
The last Blockbuster. They closed the one in Alaska?
Yep.
Are you serious?
Man, there's no more Blockbusters.
Ah,
Really, it's a new age.
it really is.
New age of society.
And speaking of new age,
Yeah, it's a new...
age of Sigmar.
Yeah, we got... what's this new one?
It is Age of Sigmar 2.0.
Yeah, second edition.
Okay.
I don't know. They call
Put
it
me on the
second
spot.
edition.
I was like,
I don't know if it says second edition. Anyway, we're playing
the internets say 2.0. I think.
2.0.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. We'll go with that then.
We'll call
If
it
the
2.0.
internet says it, then it must be true.
Absolutely right.
So,
And then tonight is going to be the first of our series of episodes where we're going to cover the different mortal realms. We're going to talk about all the different realms where you can play Age of Sigmar. We're going to talk about the lore, the history. We're going to talk about realm of battle rules. We're going to talk about artifacts, and we're going to talk about sorcery rules.
oh yeah.
And
Yes.
then afterwards, we'll talk about
What we think of it all.
yeah, what do we think of it?
exactly.
How does that inspire us for miniatures painting and for storytelling and characters and like all that kind of stuff? But first off, let's talk about what we've all been up to lately, hobby-wise. So, Mark, what have you been up to lately?
I've been up to, going a new direction, actually. So, I was traditionally going with the Chaos Warriors. That's been my love. I really like the style and aesthetic of that. But I'm focusing now on Just Corn. So, yeah,
Are you styling them as New Direction?
basically, yeah. So Just Corn.
As like
Fancy hairdos.
With
And like
fancy hairdos.
Is that like a boy band New
It's
Direction?
kind of like that. Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to, when the album drops, it's going to be magnificent. But
Bloody.
yeah.
and bloody. And
It's
bloody.
appropriate because-
mass blood. Yes.
Orlando's famous for its boy bands.
No, that's
Didn't we,
very
like-
true.
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know if people
And,
know. It's one of our claims to fame. So we should have a Warlando
or
boy
shame.
band. Yeah.
It depends on
shame.
your viewpoint, really. So, yes, no, but that's it, and I'm really getting into it, and I love it so much. There's nothing like just some quality time, in the art room, painting, having a relaxing time, and listening to Slayer and just painting away on those Corn models. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
This is a big part of why we do this, right?
Oh,
For-
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it's a release.
It's satisfying. You know, you see
Yeah.
that finished painted model. Like, yeah, I
Yeah, it
did
really
that.
is. It
And,
really
and it's
is good.
alive now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Nicholas?
Well, I kind of like a little bit of some scenery as well as painting, my army to get ready for Crucible.
Crucible. And what's Crucible?
Crucible is the Orlando tabletop game.
A convention tournament. Yeah.
So they'll do like a weekend at a hotel where they have people from all over Florida, pretty much, that come in and play. So they'll play 40K, they'll play Age of Sigmar, they'll play Kings of War, they'll play War Machine, they'll play other things that I don't know.
Those other inferior games to Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is happening. What I believe it's like mid-October or so coming up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So every October, that's pretty traditionally when they're having it, right?
Yeah.
So
And I would say like they did it the same time last year.
yeah.
And I would say my army is probably like, not a year's worth later painted.
Really? Well, I mean,
Well, I think because, I started doing some scenery stuff and
Oh, did it
I started
derail you from
yeah,
the focus?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that and like getting into X-Wing, getting into other stuff.
Yeah, well,
and it's just kind of like, like D&D.
Yeah, lots
I
of
was
into
just
Star
about to
Wars
mention,
arts.
that D&D campaign that we jumped into. So
Right.
yeah,
So much
Thanks.
fun.
Yeah.
It's taken away from my Warhammer.
I want to talk again about that D&D campaign when we
Yes.
get to talking about the realm of Shaiish, the realm of death.
Oh,
Because I
it's
feel like they
so
relate.
appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're going into Barovia and the Curse of Strahd in our D&D campaign. So when we finally get around to reviewing that realm, we can talk more about our D&D campaign
Oh,
because I think
it's
there's going to be
great.
stuff that relates.
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
yeah.
it's so spooky.
Yeah.
Because we're in a D&D campaign right now.
Yeah.
Together.
Yep.
The
Our
three of us.
great friend Matt, who's DMing the campaign for us.
Yes.
Next week, who's joining the campaign?
My wife, Jamie.
Yeah.
Yes, I did not know this.
Yeah, isn't that awesome?
Yeah, no, that is amazing. That is wonderful.
It's a-
Oh
in
my
this-
God, I want to talk like characters now and what what it.
She kind of knows what she wants to be.
Oh, excellent. All right, very
Halfling
good.
Pirate.
Ooh.
And this is like one of the most fascinating assemblies of D&D players I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
Because Nicholas, you and your wife are going to play.
Correct.
And then Mark, you.
Yes.
And who else?
And my 12-year-old son.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All in.
Yep.
He's all in.
And so I'm also playing, as well as my retired father, who's never played D&D before.
That's amazing.
And he is so gung-ho.
I
He's just
love
like...
seeing that. I
and he-
love it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we were, like going back and forth on a Slack the other night, just back and forth, like me and your dad. And
Yeah.
I met him like once, and yet like we're both just in character,
Yeah.
just bantering back and forth, like
so great.
laying shade. It was great.
Shade. Oh man, he's so into it
Sorry for all
It's
the
so
kids
great.
out there that I said that.
that you said laying shade.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah, because I don't know. We don't know. We're adults. We don't know slang anymore.
No, I was a kid. I didn't know slang. I didn't
Yeah.
get
So I'll tell you what I've been up to.
Yeah.
Much like you, I've been working on a lot of terrain. I've been very focused on the terrain and trying to make as much terrain as possible. I downloaded all of the Fat Dragon Games paper terrain, and so I've been putting as much of that together as I can, trying to make like a really fun, dynamic table that's really versatile. Just made a bunch of modular dirt roads that we can move around on the table. I've got this big table I made a couple years ago, which is a 4x6, all one piece MDF painted table. So I'm just trying to add as much as I can to it to make it fun and dynamic. Likewise, with you were talking about your Crucible army from last year, Nicholas, that wasn't fully painted. I've been spending all this time on terrain and other things and painting like D&D stuff and painting like Shadespire stuff, all this other stuff, instead of finishing my Daughters of Cain army that I've had for years, which is still not finished. So I'm trying to devote more focus to that. I want to try and get them 3 colors on everything before Crucible in early October.
Right.
Yeah.
So we doing this? We doing Crucible?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
this.
that's my plan.
Yeah,
I might
it's
not
gotta
be
happen.
Yeah, it's got to happen. But there's this other thing coming up too in a couple weeks that we probably are all trying to go to.
Now, I've heard of this. It's some new convention
Yeah,
on
it's
the
a
scene.
new convention. Has been around. It's in Atlanta.
Right, yeah.
Which is in Georgia. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
And I think it's some people may have heard of it. What's it called?
Something con, something... Aren't they all something cons?
I think they are something
yeah, no, exactly. I believe it's a Dragon, right? Dragon Con? Yeah.
Nobody's heard of it though. It's a really
No,
small
exactly.
one.
Yeah, yeah. Probably nobody's going to be here. I'm going to be really disappointed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there won't be anybody turning
Nope.
up to this convention. It's very small. That's not true. It's quite large.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So probably like 3 days without any sleep at all.
That's all right. No,
Yeah.
No, exactly.
So you said
Do they make Jolt Cola anymore?
I don't know if they still make Jolt Cola. If they,
not in Atlanta?
No, well.
Like Vermont or something.
Oh, okay.
because I picture Atlanta being this old town that probably still has some like all the oldest sodas possible. But it's the home of Coca-Cola, so they probably already murdered all those people.
Oh, that is
to,
true,
Like, corner
yeah.
the market. What were you just gonna say? You were asking.
Well, so you play Corn, is what you
Yes,
said.
exactly.
You said you
Yep.
play Daughters of Cain.
Daughters of Cain's my partner.
And I play Carjon Overlords.
Yeah.
So, there we are.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's mostly just the three of us playing each other and those three armies. It's really like a rock, paper, scissors matchup, it feels like a lot of the time.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like we've all got tools that can undercut the other one. And it's hard to not write lists without the two of you in mind.
That's fair enough.
Like,
Yep.
I know I'm going to face Corn. What's gonna tear him up? So I
Yeah. The day I play
he's very good at that.
another shooting army is going to be the end of me.
Oh,
because I
absolutely.
never play another shooting army.
No, because your Corn, what like a blood tithe? What are they called? Not the blood tithe, the thing that happens each round, right?
Right, exactly. Based on the basically if a unit dies.
Right. The
And the
corn-
beautiful thing is it doesn't matter which unit dies, whether it's mine or my opponent's. So yes,
That's nice. But they're Corn bloodbound. That's the faction.
the faction is, but that's the human, that's the mortal.
Oh, okay, but you're-
ones. I'm just Corn.
Okay.
So that is a mix right there of the demons and the mortals. So I have a good mix of both, which are so much fun. The humans and the demons. Yep.
That's awesome.
Living together.
Mass hysteria. We're going to take a quick break here while we dive into this part, and we'll have our death dealer announcer read us the flavor text.
That's excellent because I'm just opening up the book for the first time. So here we go.
All right.
Prepare your ears.
The mortal realms are near infinite in scope, with every conceivable landscape somewhere within their reaches, from the most dire hellscape to the most gorgeous paradise. Not even the gods themselves can claim to know every aspect of their grandeur, yet they remain united by laws of reality that are nigh impossible to break.
All right. We are back from our break, and now what are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about the Mortal Realms.
Yes, and specifically the reality under siege right there. Kind of setting it all up, really, huh?
Page 78.
Page 78 in this, in the core book right here.
So, Nicholas, what can you tell us about Reality Under Siege in the Mortal Realms?
Well, I think really what they're setting up is basically like, hey, where are we? We blew up the old world. Nobody knows for the last 2 years where we've been. Let's go ahead and say, hey, this is where we are. And so it's just a little intro. And the little intro is that there are mortal realms. And this is where people live. This is where life is taking place. It says that there's realm gates that connect these mortal realms together, and you can travel through these realm gates to get to other realms. Sometimes you know where you're going, sometimes you don't. And then there's another realm. It's the realm of chaos, which is outside of the mortal realms. And so they have gates in which they can travel into the mortal realms and cause chaos.
Yeah, it's exciting style. I like the thought of all these different realms and like entirely different. I know they talk about realms of existence, but it's still, to my mind, I think of them as different planets. So it's like these fantasy armies attacking other planets. You know, it's that's what it feels like to me when they go through these different gates. But then
Yeah.
you have like the realm of chaos. Mortals can't go there. That does seem like an alternate dimension to me. That I don't know, when I'm thinking about how this universe works, that's what I picture in my mind. But what do you think about it, Mark?
Well, it reminds me very much just reading it. I mean, it's changed a bit from the old book where it seemed kind of more of a like a low fantasy, like a I'm thinking more like a Conan the Barbarian
Yeah.
style fantasy, and this has become more of like a high fantasy. You know, there are all these different realms here that the mortal realm has expanded to, and it reminds me very much of, and I keep going back because I'm an old D&D player, but it takes me back to, I think it was like the second edition. It had like that that map of all the planes of existence, and this is what
yeah.
it kind of reminds me of, and very much like the old Norse stories of Asgard and just Midgard and all of that, and how it's all connected, and it's I'm really liking this, just kind of a new perspective to the whole game.
Yeah.
And I really like this new book because before I couldn't really imagine what it was. I just really couldn't put my finger on it. And now it's really defining it, and the maps in this are absolutely
They really are.
just incredible. And
They've stepped up their game, and like the big competition for this kind of thing is companies like Dungeons and Dragons, and this is on par with, I think, most of the better Dungeons and Dragons books. This book,
Oh,
as far as
absolutely,
like what
yeah.
they give you to enhance the story of your game.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many different takes, so much flavor that you can add to your game. And really enjoying this right now. So, and this is my first entry into the core book. So,
That's
I'm
awesome.
taking it in for the first time. So, yeah, awesome.
Yeah, so cool. So what's after the Reality Under Siege portion of our story? What's the next one?
Let's see. It is the Cosmos Arcane, which pretty much sets up what the mortal realms are.
Yeah.
So being the 8 different mortal realms, which mortal realms they are, and how they are in relation to everything around them.
Mhm.
So around each other, as well as around the Great Nothing, or as opposed to around the realm of chaos.
Yeah.
And it kind of just sets up essentially like if this was a galaxy, how is the galaxy positioned? Where are things, and what to expect?
Long ago, the 8 types of magic gathered separately in the aetheric void, for kindred energies are attracted to one another by cosmic law. In doing so, they made orbs of energy known as realm spheres, within which lie the mortal realms.
And I picture these like grizzled old like seers and monks are the ones that put this map together, and they're the ones that have tried to figure out, like they're looking at this history. Like one of the things that was confusing to me when this edition, Age of Sigmar, first came out, not second edition, but the first edition, was the scope of time, because we were coming from 8th edition and they blew up the world that was, and now the Stormcast have come to save reality. Just my first couple readings, I didn't really grasp the depth of time that was in that span. It was like it was a new universe that happened.
Right.
And then like thinking about the development of our universe, how many millions of years that takes. So this was thousands and thousands of years of the new universe existing before the Stormcast showed up to like save the day.
Right.
I couldn't grasp that when I first read it. I thought it was just like, it's a new universe. Here are the Stormcast. Like now, like reading this new book, I can see this like huge amount of time that's passed before finally they brought the Stormcast into the mix.
Exactly. Like before, it was just a sentence about what was, right, and then a sentence about the Age of Chaos, and then a sentence about, and then they jump right into Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
And I could never grasp, like, was the sentence about what was, like, the old world, and then the sentence about the Age of Chaos about the ending of the old world, and then Age of Sigmar is like
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah.
Now we're in this new place, and like good luck, guys.
Yeah.
And so like I never knew, and it's really hard to really kind of like get into it when you don't have that. And I feel like this book already, with reading through these different realms, already I'm just like, wow, like they're like, yes, this makes sense.
Yeah,
like all of a
absolutely.
sudden, like the maps, like you're saying,
Yes.
like the maps.
Oh, love the
All of a
maps.
sudden, like, okay, now I have something tangible to kind of like anchor myself
Yeah.
in this realm, and then tell me about what's going on. And then you get through the first page about the realms. That was the what was sentence.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, but I had a whole like 2 pages about that. Now I have a sense of of what was, and now I can actually feel the weight of what happened then at the Age of Chaos.
Yeah.
What changed? Now how are these places different? And then comes the Age of Sigmar,
Yeah.
and then it's like, why did we need the Age of Sigmar?
Yes, and that wasn't clear to me until now, until this book. Just like you're saying.
No, this is really a game changer because it really paints the picture. It really sets
Yeah.
the scene, and just so valuable, I think, to the whole flavor of the game.
I think there's probably people out there that are disagreeing, saying like, because Games Workshop did publish a lot of books and a lot of stories, but for me, I didn't have incentive to purchase those books because I didn't see an avenue to buy in, because I know you love Khorne. I don't really care about Khorne. I didn't really care about the Stormcast because none of them even had faces. They all had their helmets on, so I couldn't identify with any of them or what was going on there. I'm a huge elf fan, so there were a couple years there where there wasn't anything being thrown out there to bring me back as an 8th edition player that wants to use my elf army. So that I didn't have any incentive to buy the stuff that would have told me the story, because there's other stuff out there that will tell this story, but this is the first one. This is the first one that really brings everybody in on the same page.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like a copy and paste of what we know about, like, for example, like, you can't get around it, the 40K world.
Yeah.
That is the much more successful, the much more popular version of Games Workshop.
Mhm.
So then now you have 40K, and they just went, well, all right, we're just going to kind of just copy and paste a little bit about, like, these created beings that are like really awesome, and then there's the Stormcast, or there's the Sigmarines, I guess, as they were like coined
Yeah,
right
in the
afterwards,
beginning,
right?
yeah.
So it's like, so there's Space Marines, but in the fantasy world. But now that we're actually giving some depth to the other parts of the world, because when I was reading, like, I had a Realm Gate Wars book.
Yeah.
And, reading through the Realm Gates Wars, it was like, okay, this is just like, and here's the Stormcast, and they're doing this, and there's the Chaos, and they're doing this, and then here's Skaven, and then here's, like, Beastmen, and then here's Stormcast. And, then, you're just going back and forth, and it's like, okay, well, like give us a reason why we care about Stormcast, or don't like Stormcast, or, you know what I mean? Like, I want to like or not like something.
Right. Something to the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring me in, invite me into
Right,
this
exactly.
story. And
So I think story is so important.
It is. It's.
Yeah.
I mean, for me,
it's
as
epic.
a player,
Yeah.
it's everything. If story doesn't matter, then I can play any game that has the mechanics that I like.
Yeah,
You know what I
fair
mean?
enough.
But this game, the models, the story, and the game, the three need to work together.
Right.
If you don't have the three together, then you can pick up any game. War Machine or 40K or any of those other games. If you don't care about the story, you're just going to go with the one with the nicest models and the easiest play, or whatever your play style. You know what I mean?
So now we have a little backstory. We have a little bit more of that depth.
Oh yeah.
And now we can feel like we can, what I would think is now we feel like we can pick up the stories and we can read the stories because we know they're going to have a little bit more depth. And what people said and what people wanted were what happens, like what's a day-to-day thing. You don't have to tell me
Who
your
lives
day-to-day.
here?
Like, you don't have to and this guy woke up and he was like, what am I going to do today? You don't need that, but it's just like what was happening in these realms.
Yeah.
Were there cities? We didn't like we didn't know much about like the goings on in the cities.
Yeah.
But now we do. Now we have an idea of where were those cities? How big were those cities in relation to other places? How far away were they? Who were there? Were they humans or 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 were they other or were they other races? Were they like the greenskins or the Dwarden or
the elves or
anyway, so I feel like now we have that.
Yeah.
And now we can actually dive in and those stories matter.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. Because I just couldn't picture it before. So that's why we're covering now this part of the book. We're going to talk about all the different realms, how they're described in the book, and how we go from the words and the pictures to getting to a reality that we can visualize and bring into the stories we're telling. Why is it important that we're in the realm of fire instead of the realm of life? Other than the rules they put in here to define the difference,
right?
What does that look like? What does it sound like? And that's what's great about what's happening in this new edition of the book.
Many strange worlds comprise the domain of the God King Sigmar. The largest by far are the 8 mortal realms. These elements of existence can be imagined as spheres of reality coalescing and breaking apart within the void.
So spears of existence. That's me getting advice.
Yeah, it sounded like I believed it. It was good. That's good radio.
Oh, thanks. So spheres of existence is kind of like the lead into the realms of like, okay, now you've had that big picture, you've had then that slightly smaller picture. Okay, now we're going to zoom in a little bit more. What is a realm like? So a realm and how like a realm is basically the existence, and so it's not necessarily like a planet that we know of, but it's what the it's the existence that they know of that sphere. And so what I've seen in these is they think they're flat Earths, essentially. And
like if you saw any of the Thor movies, when you look at Asgard, like that flat Earth.
Right.
I do want to put on the record, though, I don't believe in the existence of any real flat Earthers. People keep talking in media.
Like flat Earthers, like the people, you don't believe in the people who believe the flat?
Yeah, I don't believe there are actually any people that can access or understand how to use the internet that also believe the Earth is flat. I just don't believe they exist. I think it's an urban legend.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's me just having fun. That's a totally different subject.
I'm hoping so.
So good transition there is I don't think necessarily that these realms are flat Earths.
Yes.
And so I think that this book is the understanding of the person that wrote it. And I think this clicked for me the other day, that this is written in the character of somebody from this universe.
Yeah.
And so they wrote this book from the point of view of somebody in these mortal realms. I think they wrote this universe from the point. Well, I'll get to that later.
Yeah, we can. Go ahead and say it.
I think they wrote it from the point of view of a Sigmarite.
Yeah,
a follower of Sigmar.
Yeah, they're from one of those Sigmar. And I think they actually describe it in here somewhere, like Sigmar settled, Sigmar liberated cities, or like the different types of cities in there that are like actually settled. Like I think it was like Hammerhall is one of the cities that was like
right.
Sigmar showed up. Like those other places are for savages. These are Sigmar, civilized Sigmar cities.
Right.
Planting his flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that to me is like reminiscent of reading about colonists coming in and talking about savages and things for lands that they came to that they quote unquote discovered. Right.
Yeah.
And so
and brought civilization to right.
Right. Yeah. They brought their version of civilization, and so I think this is written from the point of view of a Sigmarite.
Yeah.
And they are writing how they understand the worlds to be. So, I mean, great. Hey, they may be flat Earths. I don't live in this universe.
No, they might actually be like, because if you watch Thor, the Asgard's flat.
But I think reading this from the understanding, like when I read some of these different things, I read it from the understanding of they are writing it based on what they know.
Yeah, from the point of view of
tools that they have to know that. And so when we're talking about spheres of existence, they don't they understand it as there's this place that we live. It's this realm. And where we are in the middle is habitable. You know? And so this is where most people are going to live. And as you move further outside of the center, you're moving closer and closer to the edge. And closer to the edge, it gets more and more dangerous. And towards the edge, it's like too dangerous. It's the power of there's just too much power and force of energy and magic that you can't survive out there. And it draws people because there's so much power out there that they think they can harness. And so people do travel to the outer edges, but at their own risk. And so to me, I just think that's awesome. I think that's like so cool to like build that into this and to explain it for us now, because that's just only going to show up in our stories.
Oh, absolutely.
And whether it be one game that you play versus a campaign that you play, where depending on where you put the setting, you can put like you can build where you are now in this realm with all of the different things of this realm versus where in the realm are you? Are you closer to the edge? If you're closer to the edge, then maybe magic needs to be a little crazier.
Yeah.
Oh, I like
more
that.
Wild and crazy things happening. Yeah.
Yeah, and we know that there's different scenarios that were created where like there's this field of like energy that's closing in on the but if you're towards the edge of the realm, there should maybe be like every turn there's just this there's this force moving in because maybe there's like a storm and it's just like coming through, and that there's a reason now why there's a storm. Well, because you're closer to the edge, and it's a bit hairier out there than it is towards the middle.
More and more dangerous as you get out there.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And what they perceive is that is the edge. That may very well be the edge of their plane of existence, but no one really knows.
Yes.
Right. No one really knows.
Reminiscent to, hey, we were out in the water and there was a bunch of monsters and beasts out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see these pictures of like people that drew, and they're like these crazy looking beasts.
Great sea serpents out there in the ocean,
exactly.
like from a period of our actual history where
absolutely.
people really believe sea serpents existed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Genies lived out in the desert. Like that's like these are real things. Like it was part of like
exactly.
It's just in science books
Yeah.
in the era. So this is
when they may have just saw a manatee.
Yeah, and I think that's what's great about the community of this game now is that we could help continue to further what this is going to be because we don't know what it is. So anything that we do now, we're helping create that narrative.
Yeah.
Whether they take it or not in the end, who cares? It's what we have that freedom. We have the tools and the information now to play it on the table.
Yes.
But we can now create that narrative, and that's what I'm excited about.
No,
we get a chance to create that narrative.
And that's great, and I really feel like that's what they're pushing for. That's what they're promoting. That is what they want. They really want you to take it and run with it in whatever direction you want to, and just be able to have fun. Whether it's a narrative, whether it's that open play, whether it's the traditional matched play with the points, but just take it, run with it, and just have fun with the game.
Aqshy's many landmasses are places of raging passions and volatile horizons. In this realm, aggression is born and carried afar on hot, gusting winds, and life is lived to the full. No realm has a fiercer outlook, no lands have cultures harsher or more littered with invective, especially since the forces of Khorne invaded. That dire fate struck first at the Great Parch.
subject of our episode. We're going into the realm of fire.
Fire.
Aqshy. Excuse me.
Aqshy.
Dude, that was like a look at the say it as a dwarf.
Aqshy.
That's very good.
Nice.
That was a good dwarf voice. Yeah.
Aye.
All right. So talking about the realm of fire and the history of it, what stood out to you guys when you guys were looking over this? What about the realm of fire stood out to you?
Don't everybody talk at once.
Oh, I know.
No, dead air.
Yeah.
Last thing we want is dead air.
Lordy.
Well, let me.
Hey, how about you start for a second?
Okay, I'll start because I did some of my homework. The pictures, when they talk about the realm of fire, most of the pictures I've seen, there's usually fire in the actual picture. Everything looks very orange and yellow and red, and it looks very inhospitable.
Right.
It looks like a place that no one could actually live. So, like you were saying, all these pictures and what I'd seen
Exactly.
talking
Kind
about
of like Orlando in August.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's one of the spells which is supposed to from the realm of fire. It's supposed to superheat the air around your enemy so that they are completely dehydrated and they can't charge, and if they try to run too far, they'll take wounds. And oh man, yeah, that spell is just like welcome to Orlando.
Yeah, no, exactly. Here's all the tourists coming to Disney. And,
Yeah.
As they walk through the gates, they're afflicted by that spell right there. So, yeah.
You want to have dinner on the porch tonight? Well, it's on fire.
Yeah, it's actually on fire. We will not be able to breathe or sustain our own life if we go outdoors.
But you're right. That's what these pictures look like. It looks like the porch is on fire.
Yeah, it looks completely inhospitable. But when you read the text, they talk about great oceans and port cities and all these different groups of people that are living these kind of tropical lives. So when I read it and I think about fire and tropical, I'm thinking about Hawaii and all these these volcanic islands, but they're in this lush, landscape with palm trees and big mountains that are covered in green. When I read some of the text, that's what I'm taking back from it, which for me clashes with the pictures. I can still picture the sky not necessarily being blue because we're talking about the realm of fire. So I'm picturing Hawaii, but on Mars. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of when I'm pulling it all in, this is what's developing in my mind.
But depends on when these pictures were captured.
True.
So what I would say
Yeah.
as an opinion was based on these images and based on what I've read for the realm of Aqshy, they were captured, these images were captured during the realm of chaos.
During when the reign of chaos.
Reign of
Okay.
chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me. There's one picture here which I like, which they're not Caradhran overlords, but it is a floating city.
Oh,
The
yeah,
floating
that's a neat one.
city of Batar. The traders' armada held aloft by limitless wealth and resource. When I first read that, I thought, oh, this is a partnership with the KO dwarves, Duarden, who are, keeping this city afloat. But they say it's actually held aloft by magic. There's the spellcasters. So it's mostly, they don't say it's a human city or not a human city, but when I hear spellcasters, I don't think dwarves. I think this is so primarily maybe human and elven city. But I find that fascinating too, that there's this floating city that was an armada in the ocean, and they decided to just band all their ships together and cast a spell so it's up in the air and they're safe.
Yeah.
And somehow there's trading going on between this floating city and people on the ground. And so that I do want to know more about that. How did they get up there?
I know exactly. Yeah, I love that it's held aloft by limitless wealth and a resource. Absolutely amazing.
That's where I feel like it's written. It's written in a very poetic way.
Yeah.
And so when something's written in a very poetic way, we can't really take it, for the actual words that are written. So for me, it's okay, so here's a poetic way that it's written. I've read a couple of short stories about Age of Sigmar, and they talk of, there's talk of, hey, here are humans that are flying in boats, But then you're like, hey, what about the KO? Well, yeah, but then there is like a KO boat, right? Like,
Yeah, it's very similar.
And when you talk to those, when they talk to those guys in the stories, they're like, yeah, those human boats, those aren't ships. Like,
Yeah.
Ours. The
Right,
KO's
exactly.
like, ours are ships.
Yeah.
Those guys
There's
are
a dinghies.
yeah, those are like, so there are humans that have boats that are floating in the sky, but they're not cargo boats.
No, they're not.
No.
But I love the thought of like the KO coming in to trade with these guys.
I think they used these as ways to trade with other people in other areas.
Yeah.
So this was a region of Aqshy, which, this part of Aqshy is like drilled into the Great Parch, is what they called it. And so I feel like that particular city of Batar was, in the story, I think they wanted to start exporting stuff.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to. People were building bridges, and they weren't getting built fast. They weren't getting built fast enough, and so they decided, boom, let's go up into ships and let's start trading with people.
That's so much fun.
Yeah, and they were trading like I think one of the things that maybe they mentioned was like water.
Yeah.
Because like you were saying, in this world of like fire, well, what becomes currency?
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that becomes currency is water.
Have you seen Dune or read the book Dune?
Oh yes, no, exactly.
So Dune is another planet that where water is almost non-existent, and like water is one of the most valuable resources. It's a desert planet,
Right,
and there's still
exactly.
societies, there's still people that live there, but they
No.
live in these little like
Like
secluded-
communes. And just,
exactly.
And
These,
just they rely on those still suits, to be able to recycle what
Yeah.
they're expelling because it's so valuable. They're bringing it back to them. They don't want.
yeah, they can't waste a drop
no,
of water.
yeah.
Like someone spitting on the ground is this huge insult because you just wasted water.
Right, exactly. And reading, these bits about the Great Parch, these desert, landscapes. From what it says, it reminds me very much, and it brings visions of like Mad Max movies.
Oh,
'Cause
yes,
it talks
of
about all
course,
these
yes.
tattooed barbarians just kind of sprawling these areas and just basically living and feasting and just living to the fullest because they know that they may be extinguished, in an instant, and kind of like that candle, burning brightly,
Yeah, but not for very long.
not for very long.
That's fun to think about too, like a Mad Max style. Like you're talking about the edge of the realms, things being more and more dangerous. So I'm picturing these people that have been ostracized from the main society that are now these like vagabond raiding parties that are out there. Like if you on top of all the different crazy magic and crazy monsters, and these probably going to be these raiding parties out there they have to worry about. And
Yeah, no, exactly.
yeah, what kind of crazy beasts are out there?
Maybe Mad Max took place in Aqshy.
It probably
That could
did.
be-
That's
that could
it.
be.
Yeah, if it wasn't a normal apocalypse, it was the
Oh man, I'm gonna have to
the-
rewatch these. It's a totally different mindset now.
yeah. So talking about the forming of the realm of fire and its beginnings. Now, Nicholas, you as a Duarden player, this probably is an important part of it too. Is it Grimnir? Is that his name? Grimnir? Grimnir. And who is he?
He is the Duarden. He's one of the Duarden gods.
And he was one of the survivors of the old world,
Explosion.
the explosion of the old world. He somehow survived,
Yes.
like Sigmar and several others.
Grimnir and Grungni.
Grungni. So Grungni's still around.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Grimnir. So those were two that were kind of extracted from that.
Yeah. No spoiler alert. Grimnir ends up dying in Aqshy.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. He was it Velocitrix? Who was the great dragon?
Bellatrix.
Bellatrix Lestrange.
Volcatrix.
Volcatrix, thank you. Yeah, Volcatrix. And that's really fun to think about too, because he kills Volcatrix.
Well, he kills Ignax, the solar drake.
Yeah.
And then Volcatrix is Ignax's mum. For all you Brits out there.
So his mom comes back to get revenge, and they, Grimnir and Volcatrix, kill each other.
Correct. Yep. And so then that like explodes like a bunch of like just basically like lets out all this fire, almost like a volcano exploding.
Yeah.
And
Volcatrix is a volcano explosion. That makes sense.
Yeah, so it spews out all of this, and then it incinerates all of the sulfurous material across the land, and it burns it so that now that the sulfurous topsoil essentially is gone, now things can grow.
So that again,
Essentially, volcano came up.
yeah. But that sounds like talking about what you were saying about people that don't understand science trying to explain what the heck happened. Where'd this volcano come from? Well, it must have been when the dwarf god fought the giant dragon.
Yeah,
Obviously.
exactly.
I mean, that's the
Well, that
story
makes perfect sense.
That's what my great grandfather told me, so I'm going to pass that on.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
But again, talking about how the slaying of the dragon purified the land, again, makes me think of these volcanic islands where you see this, like, the black sand beaches, but then there's still all this, like, tropical landscape around it. I'm still picturing that, but with an orangish tinted sky. That's where I go when I think about
Yeah.
Aqshy. And it's hard still, even just talking about it. I have a hard time picturing this fertile lands and this like realm of fire.
Right. Where
You know,
everything's burning.
Yeah, because that's when you think realm of fire. And most of the pictures when people do like their realm of fire battle boards, it's like a black surface with cracks full of molten lava and fire. You know, that's what you picture is that
Right,
black
exactly.
surface.
The floor is lava.
The floor is lava. So I like the thought of it being like black sand beaches, but still this like livable place where people are farming. They have communities, you know?
Yeah, I would say like it's, to me it kind of reminds me of like watching Planet Earth and seeing like when in Africa, like near the Nile, like when the rain seasons come through and it's just like all of a sudden it's like
Yeah,
so
teeming
lush.
with life. Yeah,
and it's like so great, but it's like the desert animals had to cross to get there. Kind of that mix, kind of like that transition of like there's desert. And I think that's what it talks about in here is that there's a desert, like there's like this desert in the middle, and then there's this life around it a little bit, and so there's these lush places, and then there's the deserty places, and that's why water is kind of like a hot currency.
yeah,
And
that's so exciting too.
yeah,
So, reading about it, I didn't realize until I read this again that most of the action so far, a significant part of the action, the Reign of Chaos and Sigmar's first strike back against Khorne and the Chaos Gods, the other Chaos Gods, that so much of that action took place in the Realm of Fire.
Right.
yeah. I mean, the reason why Khorne likes this place so much is because the way that they describe Aqshy is like it's a place where life is to be lived fast, hard, and violent.
And that's the way I feel Khorne lives.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's all about the battle, all about the moment, all
Yeah.
about the bloodshed,
It's all about that bloodshed.
all about, right? Exactly. Yes. Relentless. So, no, absolutely.
I picture Khorne as just sometimes when I hear
Yeah.
that sentence you just said about
Yeah.
fast, hard, violent, I just picture this like dude bro in a gym who's just had like way too much steroids.
Exactly.
You want to lift, bro? No, I'm gonna kill you then. Like,
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
all about picking things up and putting them down.
yeah.
Isn't that kind of what Khorne feels like, though? It's like
yeah.
rage.
Absolutely.
absolutely. This is,
consistently.
A
Yes.
void rage barbarian that just lives to just
Just
F
mess up
and
your day.
kill. Yeah, just
Yeah.
but mostly just the kill.
Yeah, just exactly. Yeah, smear you up against the wall. So, oh man,
But yeah, so most of these conflicts with Khorne and Sigmar, a major portion of them have happened here in Aqshy. And I
Right.
don't know about all the cities, but you remember when the Firestorm line came out, when that
Yes.
Firestorm, when they had that Firestorm book?
Yeah.
All those cities that they talk about. They released those box sets. There was like Hammerhall and Anvilgard, and they're all in the Realm of Fire.
I don't think all of those cities are.
They're not all 4 in the Realm of
I
Fire.
think the only ones that are in Aqshy are the Tempest Side, Anvilgard, and Hallowheart.
There's Hammerhall too.
Yeah, Hammerhall's in there.
The Hammerhall is
I think it's
Gyron.
Hammerhall's the twin-tailed city. That's what I thought was so excited. Hammerhall was built around a realm gate. So Hammerhall's half in Aqshy. Is the other half in Gyron? I knew it was half in Aqshy.
Yes. I think
That's awesome.
Yeah, isn't that
Oh,
cool?
wow.
And so like the people living here in Hammerhall,
Yeah.
like there it's another one of those cities that's totally dependent on trade. And so they've got like I don't know what they harvest from Aqshy, but they're from Gyran. They're bringing in all of the crops and everything and all the living goods. So like all the food and crops from Gyran, they're bringing into Aqshy, and they're taking resources from Aqshy that aren't that are scarce in Gyran, and trading back and forth. And the idea of a city that exists in 2 different planes of reality, you know, that they're trading back and forth within this one city. It's really fun, high fantasy concept.
That absolutely is. Yeah, that takes it definitely to a new level.
Yeah, the twin-tailed city.
right now all of a sudden it's just like the story's coming to life.
Yeah, and you picture like, I would love to do a role-playing game just set around that city where maybe you've got like 2 different police forces. You know, there's the Aqshy side and the Gyran side, and maybe they don't like each other. You know what I mean? And they're like, you know, it's like the state cops and the city cops, and they've got to like, you know, they've got to work together to solve a mystery. Like my partner was in Gyran and he was murdered, so I'm an Aqshy guy and I got to go to Gyran to solve the mystery with this Gyran elf, you know, that I don't really like working with. And like,
Yeah.
you already know how that story goes. You've seen that movie a dozen times,
Right.
but it's in this Warhammer
Out of your
setting.
jurisdiction.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
exactly.
But I'm gonna solve my partner's death.
Yeah. No, I picture like one detective from one side having to go to the other, and it's like, you know, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? They got to go to
Yes,
Toontown, you know? It's just completely messed up,
Yeah,
out of their
exactly.
league, out of their element. They have no
Yeah.
idea what's going on, and they don't know the reality of it, because that's how the movie was. You know, he
Yeah.
went in there and he didn't realize it was a different reality.
Yeah.
Things work differently there.
Yeah,
And then you have different bad guys.
yeah, from different
Batman
sides.
is more appealing to
Nurgle.
Nurgle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So,
Oh
like,
yeah.
Sudden, what if you're in your campaign, you switch over to Gyran,
Yeah, and like
and now you're in Hammerhall, and now you're dealing with an outside force of Nurgle versus you were dealing with the outside force of Khorne
yeah.
in Aqshy.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And like maybe they've got their secret agents, Khorne and Nurgle, working together with their secret agents that are going through the gate in Hammerhall and like passing messages back and forth through there to coordinate their armies to attack the city from both realities at the same time. There's
That's
so much
really
like
good.
I really like Hammerhall. I think that's really exciting.
Yeah. Agreed.
So Anvilgard is up on the northern coast, the Charwind coast, and I almost got the Anvilgard box set because it was the box set that had Stormcast as well as the Raiders, the Corsairs from the Dark Elf line. It was the Corsairs with so it's the Dark Elves guarding the coast, teaming up with the Stormcast, and so the Corsairs are the Navy teaming up with the Stormcast army on land. And like thinking about these elven Corsairs that are out there guarding the coast, and I picture them like these mercenaries, privateers.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, isn't that what they're called? I can't remember.
Yes.
The Scourge privateers. I'm going to be so embarrassed because when I look all this shit up later. To just give you a timeline of us recording this right now, it's about, it's getting close to midnight, and we're on like our 4th or 5th beer, and my brain shuts down at like beer 2.5, and I'm about 2.6 right now in my beer drinking, so I'm not going to remember. Scourge privateers, those guys, I love the line. I have a bunch of painted Corsairs from 8th edition. I love the concept of these swashbucklers with a crossbow in one hand and a sword in the other. And the idea of these guys, my picturing of these guys in like a high fantasy, the old world, is now totally different now that I picture them in the realm of fire, and like it just changes things just that little bit, gives it that just a little bit of flavor that wasn't there before, to like really see where these guys are living. I picture like the Game of Thrones, the Iron Islands. When I thought of the Dark Elf pirates before the Corsairs, I thought about the Iron Islands in the Game of Thrones, and so now picturing the same Iron Islands, but they're like in this realm of fire and this dangerous volcanic land, and it's really fun and exciting. And thinking about them, the Corsairs teaming up with the Stormcast Eternals, it's fun.
And that's something we didn't really mention before, was that in these realms, although they may be realms kind of like geared towards one specific faction or race,
Yeah.
So like Aqshy could be like, hey, that's where the Fire Slayers come from.
Yeah, and that's what I
right?
think of first.
But they're not only Fire Slayers in Aqshy.
Mm-hmm. And Fire Slayers exist and can travel to all the realms.
Well, that's the thing, is that they say that there's like a little bit of every faction or race in every realm.
Yeah.
Because they have the ability to move back and forth, so they're going to mix.
Yeah.
Over time, you're going to have that mix. That's why you would find in Aqshy, Dark Elf, or the Corsairs with Stormcast.
Yeah.
In a place where you would think, hey, this is where the Fire Slayers come from.
Yeah.
So that's why you would see that mix. And I think Firestorm really was kind of like that first step that they took into, hey, here's a little bit of a bigger universe than you think.
Yeah.
Just really trying to flesh it out.
Yeah. So, and I think that's where we derive a lot of this imagery from right now, is that Firestorm style.
Yeah.
Right.
The centuries of story here really changes everything that we got from this edition.
No, it really does. And that perspective of time, really adds perspective to it,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just knowing that it's happened for this long, and these cities have rose and some have fallen, within that time span.
Yeah.
It really adds the depth that it needed.
Yes. We are now moving on to the Realms of Battle rules
Realms
for
of Battle.
Aqshy, the Realm of Fire.
Oh, hell yeah.
Do we have to pay you more to use that voice?
What? Well, we'll discuss it
Is,
later.
is that a trademark voice if I mimic
Yeah.
you?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's trademark. So.
Trademark. And just to keep you guys up to date as our progress while we are recording this, we have moved on to our now fifth beer.
Yeah.
Fifth type of beer. This is, what is this one, Nicholas?
This is the
The Golden Drake.
Oh, the Golden Drake.
Drake. Yeah.
Golden Drake beer,
It
yes.
says something on, like on that side of the bottle. It says something like "Slay the Dragon."
Yeah.
Which seemed, it felt really appropriate for the Realm of Fire too.
Yeah,
You
that's
bought
why I
it
picked it
because
up.
it felt
Yeah. So it's good. It's rich. It's got a nice bold flavor.
Yeah. What's the alcohol percentage on that?
10.
10%. So versus your normal like Bud Light, which is like 0.5%.
Right.
So yeah, moving on to the Realms of Battle. If I start to slur, it's Nicholas's fault.
Thanks, Nicholas.
All right, so here we are, actually Realms of Battle. Each Realm of Battle, you get a spell that all wizards in both armies know. For Aqshy, that is the Fireball spell. Mark, do you want to read the descriptive text
Yeah,
for the
sure.
Fireball?
Let's do that. All right, here we go. Fireball. The wizard claps their hands, conjuring a small orb of flame that they hurl at the foe. As the flame travels through the air, it grows in size until it becomes a blazing ball of fire that explodes amongst the ranks of the enemy. So the fireball has a casting value of 5. If successfully cast, pick an enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them. If the enemy unit consists of one model, it suffers 1 mortal wound. If it has 2 to 9 models, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. And if it has 10 or more models, it suffers D6 mortal wounds. I like this spell.
Yeah, it's a fun and when you hear the like fireball, when you hear someone say fireball, you want it to be something in like a big deal. Someone's gonna cast fireball.
Hadouken!
Yeah. It's supposed to be it's a ball of fire, like D&D fireball was typically a very devastating spell.
Oh, absolutely.
You want it to, anytime you hear it just in mythology and magic, you want it to be devastating.
Epic.
You're if you have the choice between fireball and arcane bolt, you're gonna cast fireball.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And I think that's like the draw here is let's see something that's different, a little better, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Than what you have stock.
Yep. And more cinematic, more exciting. Everybody's tired of arcane bolt and mystic shield. You can still cast those spells.
Boring.
So that's fireball. Fireball is fun. I could see myself using that. I don't know if we talked about this.
Please don't.
At least my Duarden have a 30-inch range now to
dispel. That's
unbind.
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 All right, so realm commands. The realm command is fire starter. Mark, you want to read that descriptive text?
Let's do that. All right, fire starter. The parched kindling surrounding a piece of terrain is set alight. In moments, the area is engulfed in flames. So you can use this command ability at the start of your movement phase. If you do so, pick a terrain feature that is within 12 inches of a friendly hero and within 3 inches of another friendly unit, and roll a dice. On a 4-up, the terrain feature is set alight. I like that, like pyromaniacs here.
Yes.
So if a terrain feature is set alight for the rest of the battle, any unit with models in or on it at the end of their movement phase suffers D3 mortal wounds. In addition, a model cannot see another model if a straight line drawn from the center of its base to the center of the other model's base passes across this terrain feature. Oh, wow. So yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so you can block line of sight.
Yeah.
And make it so it's a real risk to cross that terrain feature.
Oh, that would be something else.
Yeah, you could really block things up and shut people down.
Yeah.
I think it's fun with all these command abilities where I think I'm going to get caught up, and I know people have been caught up in the past, is when you can use it. And this one's at the start of the movement phase. So you can't use it in your hero phase, shooting phase. It's at the start of the movement phase. So before you move anything, if you're going to set this alight, you have to use it then.
Yeah.
And it's command ability, so you can spend a command point on it. But it's useful. It's something to put in your back pocket for the Swiss Army stuff. I could definitely see wanting to use it against the Karajan overlords or any kind of shooting army. Nice to,
Of course.
Yeah, if you get a big terrain feature.
Yeah.
I don't know what the biggest terrain feature is. This official Warhammer terrain, but I bet it's one of maybe the Warscryer Citadel or the what's the one, the Graveyard, potentially could be very big.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you could spread that one out pretty far. So if you set the whole Graveyard on fire, that becomes very dangerous, and you can't see across it. It takes up a huge chunk of the table.
Well, just think like with the focus of heroes and how much buffing they can provide and different things like that. Like I can totally see Marathi being able to hide behind something like this.
Yeah.
And staying away. Like now you're talking a single model, like down to that base size.
Yeah.
Being able to hide behind even a smaller thing than, you could be hiding behind Citadel, like a Citadel wood feature.
Yeah, or one of those little fences.
You're right. And then all of a sudden this thing comes aflame, and you have to, I have to, depend on how far away I am, I have to travel so many inches just to get around that tiny little thing to shoot without getting too close, Yeah. So I think that's definitely like a good thing to have in the back of your pocket.
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. Facing any kind of shooting army or any army that, for casting that needs line of sight. It's a nice thing to have.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So then we get into the Realmscape features. So there's 6 things in all these Realm of Battle rules. The first one's you roll a d6. The first one's always like no effect. So this one was scorched landscape. The region is parched and arid, but there are no obvious hazards in view. This realmscape feature has no effect on the battle. Nicholas, you want to do the next one? Flaming missiles.
Flaming missiles. As missiles hurtle through the air, they suddenly ignite, burning the magical flames which inflict terrible searing wounds. Improve the rend characteristic of missile weapons by 1, while the range from the attacking unit to the target unit is more than 12 inches.
That seems pretty conditional.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, like how many shooting attacks do you have that are more than 12 inches? You know, even now with the Carriage and Overlords, you were saying last time we talked that a lot of their shooting range got lowered.
Yeah, like those Grunstock Thunderers, 4 of the 5 options you can take are 12 inches or less.
Yeah. So I've got like the Doomfire Warlocks that have the crossbows. They can shoot 18 inches.
Yeah. I mean, then all the pistols are usually 12 inches.
Yeah.
All the throwing axes or throwing knives or throwing whatevs are 8 inches to 12 inches. So
it's a very few things that are going to benefit.
right,
from
it's going to be
this.
your rifles, your cannons, things like that are going to go more than 12 inches.
Yeah. Mark, you want to do the next one?
Yeah, let's do that. Number 3, clouds of smoke and steam. So the battlefield in this region is wreathed in smoke and steam. Okay. So a model cannot see another model if a straight line drawn from the center of its base to the center of the other model's base passes across a terrain feature other than open ground and or hills.
Yeah.
So once again, another one that obscures.
Yeah, blocks line of sight.
Yeah.
And it tells you the story of a land that's full of like smoke and steam and
I was going to say, so lots of, not much visibility.
No, it's potentially dangerous. I'm just an aside here because there's this city in Pennsylvania, a small town. I know I've talked about it to you guys before. I can't remember. Centralia might be the name of the city. I'm not 100% certain, but the city was a mining town, and it was a coal mine that was underneath the town. And somehow a fire started in the coal mine and was uncontrollable. They couldn't put it out. And it was so bad that smoke started coming up out of the ground into the city. And the danger was so bad they had to actually abandon the city.
That's amazing.
Yeah, this small town in Pennsylvania. And this was in the last 50 years that this happened. Like, can you even imagine that?
No.
Like, no, you got to move out because there's a fire underground.
Yeah. That's
crazy.
No.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that at all.
No. So, but talking about the smoke and steam, that's what I'm picturing, like that, like just coming straight up out of the ground. This like,
Oh, yeah.
again, talking about visually the realm of fire. Like I keep going back and forth with it being like this normal place that's just a little bit hotter than normal and has a weird sky to being like this like completely insane, fantastic realm of just like almost unlivable place.
Well, I mean, isn't that like, if we relate it to what we know,
Yeah.
right? And you think Hawaii, like Hawaii, you think, oh, paradise,
Yeah.
but there's been communities lately that have been devastated because
Completely, which is horrible.
of a volcano, which is horrible.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's like, that I feel is where this is. This is on the cusp of dangerous.
Constantly on the cusp.
Yeah,
Yeah. Whose turn is it?
I think it's mine.
Go for it.
The very moisture in one's body seems to drain away, and every step taken feels like a league marched in full battle gear. If a run roll is 6+ or a charge roll is 10+, then you can either say that the unit will not run or charge after all, or you can move the unit, but it suffers D3 mortal wounds immediately after the move is completed.
Yeah, so this is another one that's like Florida.
No, I was just thinking that as well. That is pretty much every morning when I open the front door and walk out and start my day.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's everywhere I go at work, there's signs up saying, "Have you had water lately? Are you drinking enough water? Do you have your sunblock on?"
Yeah.
This is
They're
the
not
sick-
issuing the still suits yet?
no still suits
damn
yet
it.
here in Orlando, but we're getting closer to that. Every year we get a little closer to needing still suits. But yeah, every step a league, like you're just so dehydrated and exhausted from the heat that if you push yourself too hard, you try to go too far, and you will be hurt by it. You could potentially die from pushing yourself too hard in this heat. You guys ever see Lawrence of Arabia?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the scene when they're marching across the desert.
Brutal.
Yeah, and then, like if anyone falls off their horse, they fall off their camel. You can't turn around and help them because you'll die with them. You can't help them. You just got to keep going.
Eyes front.
Eyes front.
Keep,
just
keep moving.
Yeah, that's what this is. Realm of Fire. All right, whose turn is it now? It's my turn.
Yours.
All right, number 5, Burning Skies. The skies are wreathed in flames that will burn those that approach too closely. In the movement phase, if an enemy unit can fly and moves more than 6 inches, roll a dice. On a 4-up, the enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. On a 6-up, it suffers D3 mortal wounds instead. It's kind of like Icarus. Makes me think of Icarus. You flew too close to the sun.
That's it. Your wings are melted off.
Yeah. So I picture like, I don't know, maybe the clouds are like sulfurous, like the clouds are full of boiling water, like you get too high and you're just like seared.
Just scalded.
Yeah, scalded from getting too close to this like burning atmosphere.
You got to fly low.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
got to keep it short.
Don't fly too high, Icarus. You're gonna burn your wings off. All right, so Mark, you get the last one.
All right, number 6, and I like this one because it has a topic that I love so much. It's geysers of boiling blood. That's right, scattered across the battlefield are bubbling pools of boiling blood that can erupt into geysers of sanctuary death. So at the start of each of your hero phase, roll a dice. On a 6-up, a geyser explodes. If it does so, pick a point on the battlefield and roll a dice for each unit within 6 inches of that point. On a 4-up, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. On a 6-up, the unit suffers D6 mortal wounds instead. Oh, all about the blood.
Yeah.
Boy, if Khorne could have a spell...
That's the one.
That's
Boiling
the one.
blood.
Yeah, we don't do that kind of thing.
Khorne doesn't do magic.
No.
What was your quote from before that you put on our quiz that we did?
Oh, it's Khorne rules, wizards drool. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Yeah.
True or false?
Yeah. No, it was true.
Yeah.
Definitely true. It wasn't so much a question as a true fact statement. So, yes.
What do you guys think of this one?
Oh, the spell itself?
Yeah. At the start of each of your hero phases.
Yeah.
So if you've rolled this, it's a Realm of Battle, Realmscape rule. So that means twice per turn, or twice
Right.
per round.
Right.
You're going to roll for this. Potentially, if everybody's rolling 6s, this could happen, 10 times per game.
So who's choosing where the point is?
If it's your hero phase.
So if it's my hero phase,
Yeah.
I choose a point anywhere on the board.
If you rolled a 6, yes. If you roll a 6, yes.
And then each unit within 6 inches of that point. So
Right.
my objective would be to choose a point closer to your units.
Yeah, or the
if I
majority
rolled
of
a
units
6.
you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's more of a, during my hero phase, I roll a dice. If I get a 6, you better be, looking out, because here comes some.
Yeah, there's nothing I can
mortal
do.
wounds.
Like if you rolled the 6, then you get to just have a blood eruption
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right
Okay.
underneath me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not wearing your guar poncho.
No,
to
you're
protect
front
you from
line
this.
at a Guar
Yep.
show. Front row at a Guar show. Just a blood sanguinary explosion.
But in that case, you're like, choose me.
Yeah.
But not in this case.
Not in this case,
And-
no,
and-
because
yeah.
this will actually be like boiling, kill your guys, boiling blood.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's the Realm Battle rules for Aqshy, the Realm of Fire. What do you guys think of these?
I'm digging these. I think this will work. I think
Yeah.
a few of them I think are a little situational, but a lot of them are in this respect.
Yeah.
But I think it would be fun when it does happen.
Yeah.
When it does come out.
Yeah, just playing. So say you roll a 6 at the beginning of the game, and all game long, start of your hero phase, we're both rolling the die, and finally someone hits that 6.
Oh, yeah.
And if it's like a crucial round, like, oh man, I finally got my guys in the objective, and you roll that 6.
Then it's just a magical moment.
Yeah, that's what's
Yeah,
so
it's just
great.
fun.
What I love about Age of Sigmar is the memorable die rolls. How many games have you guys played where it came down to just that one die roll?
Yes, yes.
Too many.
Too many.
Yeah, one way or the other.
Yep.
And mostly it was the other.
Well, that's what's so much fun about it. You can talk about all the games and all the fun things that happen, but like almost every game I've played, it's like, oh, if that one roll had gone the other way, it was that one roll that made the difference.
That moment.
That moment.
That it shifted, and then all of a sudden it was like, what?
Yeah.
You know, you played by the book.
You did everything right. You had everything. You had all your strategy, your army list, your deployment, your movement. You got everything right.
Right.
But then you rolled for that comet coming down from the sky. You
And
rolled
in
for
this
the
case-
explosion of blood.
Nature decided.
Yeah.
It was not your day.
It was not your day. You know, this thing comes up underneath your hero, and that's that deciding moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Because I feel like if you're playing a narrative game, let's say, and you're playing just a one-off narrative, then I feel like you just roll randomly, choose what you get. If you're playing somewhat of a campaign, perhaps you can choose from this list and say what would fit the best for this scenario based on what's happened before and what's happening now and what's to come.
Yeah.
You know, I could see you looking at this list and going, yeah, that particular feature seems like it's going to be the optimal for this scenario.
It's a lot of fun. I like the thought of us doing a narrative campaign where we're hunting relics from all of the realms. You know what I mean? And like going from one realm to another, fighting battles in these different realms, and trying to find these particular magic relics. And, you know, that would be a lot of fun to play a narrative campaign going to all the different realms and chasing these things.
Definitely.
Trying to like, you know, there's all these relics. We need to find them all. That's our job.
Yeah.
Relic hunters.
Yes. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, speaking of,
Yeah.
I think that puts us into artifacts.
Artifacts. Yeah, the artifacts is the next section. So let me take a. Do you guys want to push on? You want to take a break? Push on.
Let's take a break.
Oh, we're gonna take a break. I'm getting the sign. I thought it was mean like death to our enemies, but no, it means let's take a break. All right, so we're gonna take a break and we're gonna move on to the artifacts of Aqshy. And we're back from our break, and we are now going to talk about the artifacts from the realm of Aqshy.
Yes.
Nicholas, you want to start us off?
Sure. We have two sections here. We have artifacts of power weapons and artifacts of power relics.
Nice.
So first, let's start with the weapons. And I guess I'll go first.
Yeah.
The ruby ring. In times of need, this richly ornamented piece of jewelry becomes a dangerous weapon.
If anybody's following along with us, I'm sorry to interrupt. It's page 83 of the Malign Sorcery book that we're talking about now. That's where you can find all this info.
Or 82.
82. Sorry, actually, I'm looking at Shaish.
In your hero phase, you can pick the closest enemy unit within 18 inches of the bearer and roll a dice. On a 5-up, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. If 2 or more enemy units are equally close to the bearer, you can pick any of them.
This artifact was from the world that was.
Yes,
I remember
it
taking the ruby
was.
ring
Oh,
a few times
absolutely.
from
Yeah.
what they called the BRB, the Big Red Book. This was in the Big Red Book. So is this Age of Sigmar 2, this core book? It's a black book. So is this the BBB, the Big Black Book?
Triple B.
Triple B.
Yep. Tree.
B cubed.
Yeah.
Anyway, the BBB. I like BBB.
Yes. So when I look at these, I look at what are you, if I was playing competitively, it'd be what's going to consistently give me the most damage output.
Yeah.
Or the most consistency or the most amount of uses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I feel like as a start for Aqshy, for the weapons of Aqshy, this one's pretty solid
Oh, yeah.
compared to the others.
Anything that does D3 or better
Yes.
is like something worth paying attention to. And does that say mortal
18
wounds?
inches,
Yeah.
5 up,
Mortal
D3,
wounds.
mortal
Yep.
wounds.
Yeah.
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 And so for somebody like the Card-Drawn Overlords, we don't do mortal wounds very much. I mean, we only do mortal wounds through something that we've gotten through our allegiance abilities.
Yeah.
So to have this as an option, you know, it allows us to maybe add another option for D3 mortal wounds every turn.
Yeah. Yeah, which is fantastic.
That's always good.
Yeah, everybody's save is meaningless once you put that mortal wound in there. Mark, you want to do the next one?
Yeah, let's do that. All right, number 2 is the Magma Forged Blade. So quenched in magma, this blade never truly cools. So you pick one of the bearer's melee weapons to be a Magma Forged Blade. If the wound roll for the weapon is 6 up, that attack inflicts 1 mortal wound in addition to its normal damage.
Nice.
So, yeah, pretty good.
A little conditional. You still
Yeah.
have to roll that 6 up. But let's see. The wording for wounds inflicted varies. So if a wound roll for that weapon is 6 up, the attack inflicts 1 mortal wound in addition to its normal damage. So when it says the wound roll, there's some things that are calculated after the die roll or like after the roll's been modified. So rend comes after the roll. So say I roll a 4 for my save, and I have a 4-up save. Then you modify it with the rend and subtract 2 from the roll. This is the way I understand it. I'm probably wrong. I'm probably going to see this later. So I can't tell. Looking at this, when do you put that? If the wound roll for that weapon is a 6, so that's after it's been modified. So if I have a +2 to my wound roll,
Yes.
would that mean on a 4-up, I'm going to do this extra mortal wound?
That's what it appears right here, because it has that ability to be higher than 6. So it's not actually asking for a natural 6.
Yeah.
So those modifiers do come in play.
And I think, something to notate here is that, it's if that weapon, if the wound roll for that weapon is 6+,
Yeah.
that attack inflicts 1 mortal wound.
In addition.
So you could do wounds, and then the opposing player saves them,
Yeah.
but you still do mortal damage
Yeah, that's true.
or mortal wound
This
damage.
attack inflicts 1 mortal wound in addition.
So I
to
think
to
even
its
though
normal
they
damage.
save it, you still do the mortal wound.
I don't know. I feel like you could save that.
Well, it's
yeah.
in addition.
Right, and mortal wounds can't be done in a normal save anyway.
Right.
So you could save.
So once you've rolled 6 up for the wound,
Yeah.
you've done a mortal wound.
You've done a mortal wound.
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do the next one. Magmadroth blood vials. If properly contained, Magmadroth blood retains its deadly properties long after the beast it belonged to is killed. So in your shooting phase, you can pick an enemy unit within 8 inches of the bearer and roll a dice. On a 4-up, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Pretty cool. It's like a blood grenade. Yeah. Not bad. Back to you, Nicholas.
Yeah. So the Pure Fire Brazier.
I think that's a brazier. And a brazier holds breasts. And a brazier is kind of like a type of cup or container.
There you go.
Yeah, but I mean a brazier is a kind
I
of
like
cup.
Nicholas's
You're right.
version. Actually, that
after
makes it more
the
fun.
5th beer, I start to lean towards braziers.
I like
than-
I like Pure Fire braziers.
Pure Fire Brazier.
Yes.
These captured flames can leap forth at the bearer's command to engulf the foe. In your shooting phase, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 9 inches of the bearer. On a 5-up, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So here we are, back to 1 mortal wound.
Yeah, and this is in your shooting phase too. I like that it mixes this up. You can pick weapons. Say you've got a hero that you think, like, I wish they could do something in the shooting phase because they're always in shooting range, but I never get to do anything with them. So now, yeah, you've got a 9-inch, shooting weapon, artillery weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That leads me back to why would you take that over? If you had the choice, why would you take that over the ruby ring?
Well, the ruby ring
Is in your hero phase,
Yeah.
and it's 18 inches. It is on a 5-up versus, well, this one's a 5-up too.
Yeah. That's a
So-
good question.
Competitively, I think people are going to gravitate towards one artifact that does the most damage output for the most range, most consistently, yada, 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 yada. But I think narratively, there's a lot of opportunity to pick and choose out of these what fits the story right.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I'm having a hard time figuring out like the difference between why would you take the Purifier Brazier instead of the Ruby Ring. The Brazier happens in your shooting phase, and the Ruby Ring happens in your hero phase. So you could move before you get to use the Brazier. But still, it's 9 inches. How far do you move?
Well, the other one's 18 inches.
Yeah, so if you're moving less than 9 inches, why would you take the Brazier?
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
The only thing would be if you have an ability
Ooh.
that allows you to shoot during the hero phase as if it was the shooting phase.
Well, another one with the Brazier, it says roll a dice for each enemy unit within 9 inches. Instead of the Ruby Ring, pick the closest enemy unit within 18 inches.
Yeah.
So you're really limited on your targets.
Yes, my whole argument for this was actually because I read the one before this. That was
okay.
the same as in your shooting phase.
Right.
You're 8 inches and it's a 4-up. And so that was all like, why?
Yeah, why?
But it's a single unit. This one is different in that you're allowed to choose
yeah, so the Ruby
any
Ring...
unit within 9 inches, which is good.
Yeah.
Could be different.
And
You're going to throw your hero out there and you're going to put him like right in the middle of combat all the time.
Yeah,
You know,
if you've got a fighty hero, you want him to be in the middle of the fight, then the
you got that
Brazier.
bloodthirster that's always going to be pushing the limits, getting right in everybody's faces. You may have 3 units that are within 9 inches.
Yeah.
And they may be 2 heroes,
True.
And then you're inflicting mortal wounds on each hero.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Mark, the next one.
All right, here we go. So that's going to be number 5, which is the Onyx Blade. Now, this dark blade strikes with the impact of a weapon several times its weight. So you're going to pick one of the bearer's melee weapons to be an Onyx Blade. Add 1 to wound rolls for that weapon.
I guess that's okay. I guess if you've got a weapon like that's gonna do like
6 attacks.
6 attacks, it'd be worth it.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
That was where I would find that useful.
Yeah.
You do 6 attacks, you buffed yourself, you're hitting on like 2-up or 3-up. Now you're wounding on +1.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. Would you rather have that, or would you rather have something that gave you 1 mortal wound? But the one that's in here that does that only does it on a 6-up. But if you're doing 6 attacks, every time you roll a 6,
Chances are there, yeah.
the chances are there that you'll do the 1 mortal wound. So if you've got 6 attacks, does that mean that you're with the Magma Forge Blade? If the wound roll for that weapon is 6-up, the attack inflicts 1 mortal wound in addition to its normal damage.
Yeah, you're 1 out of 6 chances
Yeah.
to get the mortal wound. Whereas this is saying your 6 attacks that could possibly, let's say you're 3-up on your hit. With
It's now
6
a 2-up.
attacks, now you're, 4 attacks just went through.
Mm-hmm.
Now those 4 attacks are, instead of 3-up to wound, now they're 2-up to wound.
Yeah.
That's, now you got 3 wounds to the person instead of, 2 wounds.
Yeah. If I had an army where I was able to consistently dish out buffs to my rolls, I think I would go with the Magma Forged. But yeah, if I didn't have anything modifying my rolls, adding 1 to the wound roll would be nice.
Yeah.
All right, the last one, take that one. The Exile Torch. This simple wand projects an unbreakable circle of flame around its victim. So at the start of the combat phase, pick an enemy hero within 3 inches of the bearer and roll a dice. On a 6-up, that hero suffers 1 mortal wound and may not fight or be chosen as a target of an attack until the end of the turn. That's interesting. It seems really conditional.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be within 3 inches of the bearer and roll a 6-up. And then they get 1 mortal wound, and they essentially get a force field around them.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, that's like, you're never going to use it.
No, I can't think of a game I've played where I would have found value in that.
No, that's one I don't think I'd ever use.
Yeah.
Versus every turn, you're 18 inches within the person you choose, and you're doing
The Ruby
D3 mortal wounds on a 5-up.
Yeah. I think that the old edition, too, the Ruby Ring was essentially like a fireball. You could, like, throw.
Absolutely.
It was a fireball spell.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like anybody, you don't have to be a wizard. Now you've got a fireball spell.
Yeah. So I think, again, narratively, these can have a lot of potential, a lot of, just opportunity to add them into the story. And then that's when you get that opportunity. It's like it's already kind of predetermined. Like that's the only thing you're going for. You're not choosing between the 6. There's one of these 6 that you could work into the story to make it fit. You know?
Absolutely.
Whereas competitively, of course, you would choose one of these 6.
Yeah.
And it'd probably be the Ruby Ring.
Probably the Ruby Ring. I mean, it would depend on my army list, too. Like, if I had, like, a really nasty hero. Like, I think for Mark, what's your big dragon-looking demon guy? What's he called?
Oh, the Bloodthirster.
The Bloodthirster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the Magma Forge Blade, because he's gonna run into fight people. He's not gonna hang back.
No,
he's gonna be in the fight. Yeah, so Purefire Brazier, sorry.
Brazier. Well, we're just gonna go with that one.
Or the Magma Forge Blade.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm sure Madonna at one point had a bra that was covered in flames. So like that's what I'm picturing, like a pointy Madonna bra.
Yeah, and she didn't roll for that. She chose that one.
She chose that one.
Yep,
That was her Purifier
direct
Brazier.
pick.
Yeah.
All right, artifacts of power, relics.
The relics.
Of Aqshy. So, number 1, essence of Volcatrix, said to be distilled from Volcatrix's last breath. This potent potion can empower the strong or destroy the weak. Once per battle, at the start of your hero phase, the bearer may drink the essence of Volcatrix. If they do so, roll a dice. On a 1, the bearer suffers D3 mortal wounds. On a 2-up, add 1 to hit and wound rolls for the bearer until your next hero phase.
Ooh. That's scary.
Yeah. Now, here it changes in that this is like a once per battle
Once per battle.
use.
Yeah. Magic potion that you can drink. Yeah, on a 1, D3 mortal wounds. I do kind of love these kind of things because you're playing and it all comes down to this one die roll. Like I'm in the final combat, my hero is in combat with your hero. I'm like, I'm gonna drink the essence of Volcatrix, and I'm like, I just want to I think I'm gonna win anyway, but I just want to drive it home. Let's let's really do some damage, and then I roll
You are
a
going
1.
to ensure the victory, so.
So
But
then, yeah, you
Think
roll a
about
1,
this
You die.
in a narrative sense. Like you're playing a game, you're doing your thing. What if you come across some sort of area in which you overcome, and then you get to roll to see what you find in the treasure box or something like that, right? And then you roll and you roll a 1 and you get the essence of Volcatrix. Now you kind of understand that. You're like, oh, the essence of Volcatrix. I know who Volcatrix is. This is something, right? Like this is cool. Now I know the backstory. She was, the mother of the dragon that Grimnir killed, and Volcatrix was the one that killed Grimnir.
Yeah,
or something. Like now we know.
It's valuable. It's like all these names that are just like, where they come up with that name? Now we know the lore. We know the history of the realm of fire. We know how important Volcatrix is.
Yeah, and then I see this as like, hey, This is like, me playing Skyrim and I'm just, doing my dungeon crawl and I'm killing everything and I come across the treasure box that I picked the lock and I grabbed everything in the box. And one of the things happened to be the essence of Volcatrix. And now I have that in my back pocket.
Yeah.
Who knows? In a narrative sense, maybe I've got this for the next so many scenarios.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is just another thing in my back pocket that I can use when I want to use it because I've got it, in my inventory.
And that's the kind of campaign I want to play. I really I love pickup games. I love just like, hey, grab your guys, come on over, let's play. But I love the thought of grab your guys, come over and let's play, and you've still got all those things you captured from before. Like all your heroes are tougher than the last time they played, and this is not just some anonymous miniatures that have just generic war scrolls. No, this is your own hero that you've been building. This gone from being your normal rank and fire hero to becoming a named character that's reaching the power level of a Marathi or a Nagash, your hero is eventually getting to that level of power.
And when you used to play Mordenheim, after every scenario, after every battle, you would roll to see what you found in that area. And what if you found, and then you've got that in your inventory for later.
Yeah.
And so that kind of carries over, I feel like, from game to game. If you're playing these warbands, you're playing these 1,000-point games, and let's say that's your narrative. Your narrative is, you're playing this realm for so many scenarios. You get to roll afterwards and see what you find. Great, you found this.
Yeah, that's fun. That's so much fun to play through that way. Mark, you want to read the next one?
Let's do that. All right, number 2, the Thermal Rider Cloak. So by spreading this cloak, its wearer can soar on the boiling winds of Aqshy. So you're going to add 4 to the bearer's movement characteristic. In addition, the bearer may fly.
That's fun.
That's good. I like that.
Oh man, yeah. All of a sudden,
This is good. This one is actually pretty powerful.
Yeah, if you've got a pretty average on foot hero, not average, but
average for your army.
Average for your army, yeah. I've got a lot of times I'll bring the Death Hags or the Slaughter Queens, and they're on foot, and they're not that tough. One's 60 points, one's 100 points, but they have the 6 move, being able to just get out of the way, add 4 of the move. So then all of a sudden they have a 10 movement and they can fly, and their whole point is just to buff the witch elves in my army. That's the only reason they're there. They're not supposed to get in a fight.
No.
They're just supposed to hang around behind them and buff them. Them having that huge move, I can just get them. I can just bump them from one side of the unit to the other, and keep the buff, their buff envelope in range of my army. I feel like that's super valuable.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
While
and just
keeping them protected, and
yeah,
that movement is so big.
And just think, because now you have those flying witch elves.
yeah, yeah.
And so what if you gave your Death Hag this, relic, and now they're a flying witch elf hero?
Yeah. Yeah, they can keep up with them.
And
I've got the you're talking about the
and then what if she calls them, right? What if she's there on the board first, right? Because those ones come in later.
Yeah.
So she's on the board first, and then she could be like, and then they're all coming right in, to her aid,
Yeah. I could see, even if I, because I love making custom miniatures, I love the thought of, okay, so now I'm going to make a Death Hag with wings to have her, Thermal Rider cloak if I'm from the Realm of Shadows.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to do the next one. Number 3, the Smoldering Helm. Inset with burning coals, the enemies striking this helm are sworn by malevolent embers. Each time you make a successful save roll of a 6+ for the bearer in the combat phase, the attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound after all of its attacks have been made. Yeah, I've seen other things like this. The Witch Elves can take the bladed bucklers. Mark, you've got some guys in the Khorne Bloodbound that have different weapons that if you make a save, they do a wound back.
Yes.
Kind of weird picturing it. Enemies striking this helm are swarmed by malevolent embers. So anytime they hit you in the head, it's like you're wearing a beehive on your head. Anytime somebody hits you in the head, they're stung by these bees that come out. I don't know, what do you guys think? Well, hums, lot of sighs happening.
Yeah, it's just one of those ones where it's like, if you roll a 6.
Yeah, it's so conditional. So it's only
very much
valuable
so.
if you're getting hit a lot.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're
a
it's
target.
in the combat phase. So if you're a big target, you can't just be a shooting target.
No.
It's pointless if you're a shooting target. So if you got a big monster on the table, I guess the Stormcast have the Star Drakes that are everywhere. That's like the big deal, the Star Drake. It's only valuable if you're constantly surrounded by physical attackers. And that's the only time.
Right.
I would not want this because I don't want to be hit that much.
Right,
You
exactly.
know, I want something that prevents this from happening, not like gets even.
Yeah, I'd rather that thermal rider cloak,
Yeah.
you know.
All right, Nicholas, what's the next one?
Ignax's scales. These rune-inscribed plates are as hardy as their ancient namesake. Roll a dice each time you allocate a mortal wound to the bear. On a 4-up, the wound is negated.
That's nice. Like anything that does the mortal wound saves. That's a big deal.
That's big. Oh, yeah.
4
Especially
up
on a
is-
Yeah.
4-up. That's amazing.
Like I like with the Witch Elves, I'm super dependent on the 5-up roll. Like it really saves the day with the Daughters of Cain. 4-up's really good. And again, like you were saying with the lore, Ignax is the son of Volcatrix or child of Volcatrix. So it's another one. Like if you didn't know the lore, what does this name even mean? This name's pointless.
Right.
Yeah, but knowing that he was captured by Grimnir
Yeah.
and like enslaved to like make crops for his or light the world for his warden.
Yeah.
But yeah, super valuable Ignax's scales.
Yes, that's a good one.
All right, so
Yeah.
we're doing number 5?
Yeah.
All right, right there, Crown of Flames. So burning upon the brow of the worthy. This crown inspires loyalty. So we're going to add 1 to the bravery characteristic of friendly units while they were wholly within 9 inches of the bearer. So, fair.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I can imagine seeing somebody wearing a crown of fire. I'm like, yeah, this dude knows what's up. I'm gonna like follow this guy.
Right.
Yeah.
He can't be hurt. It's all right. I mean, how often does bravery come up? In most of our games, only if you're getting beaten down hard, or you're fighting an army that depends on like reducing your bravery somehow. I know that again, coming back to the Daughters of Cain, talk about what you know. The Daughters of Cain have a couple spells like Mind Razor, which they can use to buff the Witch Elves.
Right.
Mind Razor, you get an extra bonus if the Witch Elves' bravery is higher than your opponent's bravery.
Oh,
That
that's
adds to their
right,
Ren
yes.
characteristic, I believe. Probably wrong, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think this would help if you look at the amount of command points that you have to spend on command abilities, and you think for these, for this unit, if I would typically want to buff them with like inspiring presence,
Yeah.
then maybe I'll just have this, so I don't ever have to spend that command point on inspiring presence.
Yeah.
and I'll spend that on something else I want to do.
Yeah, you don't want to be wasting command points on
Yeah.
inspiring presence every turn. Yeah, that's valuable. I'll take the last one. Cleansing Brooch. The lightest touch upon this amulet sends a raging fire through the bearer's blood, sealing closed their wounds. Once per battle at the start of your hero phase, you may declare that the bearer will activate the brooch. If you do so, heal D3 wounds allocated to them. Yet only once per battle, and only at the start of your hero phase. So important. If you miss the start of your hero phase, like, no brooch for you.
Yeah, this is
Heal D3 wounds.
This is like, your guy's going to die, and this is the last option to keep him alive for another round.
Yeah. I think if I had Like a lot of times, I keep thinking about my own army, but like, if I had an army that like if my general goes down, everything is nerfed. Like my general is buffing everybody and it's giving everything to all these guys. Anything I can do that protects them or heals them is going to be useful. You know, anything that keeps them in the game longer. So it'd be nice, but I don't see myself picking it, particularly because I think when I'm planning, I'm not planning defensively. I'm planning offensively, which is not necessarily the right way to plan.
Yeah. And where do you wear a brooch? You wear that like on the like a lapel,
like a
or something?
corsage,
Yeah.
a corsage, a brooch. You put them in the same place.
Like
So
you
you-
go on a prom.
Yeah. So potentially, like, you know, if this was just another thing in your inventory, you could be wearing it.
Yeah.
And it not be taking up the place of something else.
No. it
So
just-
this, like, thematically, you know, fits inside the narrative of, like, if that's something you found because you found it from, you know, some treasure box somewhere, like, that's just something nice to have in your back pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. And these ones that we're talking about too, these artifacts from these realms, these aren't things that you're pulling out when you play in that realm. These things that we're doing now, you can pick for your army anytime you play a game. You can anytime say, my army is from the realm of fire, and these are the artifacts they carry.
And narratively, why couldn't you find an artifact that was made in the realm of Aqshy somewhere else?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So maybe you found this, you know, in some other realm.
Yeah. And you're just carrying it as a treasure. Maybe you like, in part of the story you're generating for your hero, maybe they slew, or they murdered someone from the realm of Aqshy and took this from them.
And this is
they're
what they
just
were
like
carrying.
it. It's like, and it's part of your, it's part of your character story. It's like, let's bring our characters to life. And that's what happened with 8th edition, the world that was. You had these lists of all these different spells and these different things. You could choose every game and assign to your character. And that's what we had done. We had characters that we had named. We said, I was like, I would always take the same artifacts, you know, for that character. I would always do the same loadout for that character. And they brought that back now. We have that again, where you have this huge selection of magic items, spells. You can create unique characters that are purely your own, that no one else is playing with on the table. You know, that excites me. I find that very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
The spells of Aqshy. Aqshy, the realm of fire. So this is actually my job, to study the spells of Aqshy and bring it up, because I love my magic users. The flames of bright magic in Aqshy have been stoked to a roaring inferno by what Nagash has wrought in Shyish. And on smoke-filled battlefields across the realm of fire, wizards draw upon the immense power around them to burn their enemies to cinders. Cinders.
That's like poetry right there.
Oh, yeah, so well written. All right, so here we have the 6 spells. Let me start with the first one. No, let me say in addition... What? Oh, me, just making fun of the way I'm speaking. I thought you were interrupting me.
I just think it was like, throwing on the brakes. Go for it.
Breaks, here we go. The spells of Aqshy do not include Fireball, which is in the core rule book as part of one of the realm rules for Aqshy. So, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys. I believe that you can say that your spellcaster is from the realm of Aqshy in your army, and you have access to these 6 spells no matter what realm you're playing in. But if you're playing in the realm of Aqshy, you also have access to the Fireball spell.
Yes.
Yes, okay, so that's my understanding too. And I like that. I like the thought of when I'm building my army, I can say my wizard is from the realm of fire, and I'm going to have a completely fire-themed wizard who's just going to be using fire-themed spells. I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in real life, like, we all have come from somewhere else. We may have lived somewhere for a bit, moved on to another place, then moved on, whatever it is. Like, you know, why not these people?
Yeah, it makes sense.
You know?
You're going through one realm gate to another. So that makes sense to me that you would bring your knowledge of these spells from one realm to another. But then we're talking about realm magic. Like maybe the realm of fire spells don't work in the realm of life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think this is like, in this context, it's your wizard came from the realm of fire, or studied in the realm of fire, or lived at some point in the realm of fire and acquired the ability to cast this spell.
I like that. I like that version better.
And so wherever they may be, or wherever that army in general has come from, like, your wizard may have, picked this up along the way. In his life,
it's in
or
their
her
spell
life
book
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me, and I like that. So I'll take the first one. Stoke Rage. Reaching into the minds of nearby warriors, the wizard amplifies their aggressive tendencies. Stoke Rage has a casting value of 6. If successfully cast, pick a friendly unit within 12 inches of the caster that is visible to them. Add 1 to wound rolls and charge rolls for that unit until your next hero phase. I definitely like that one. For me, if I have a big fighty army, so Khorne Bloodbound or the Daughters of Cain, where you got big masses of people that just need to get across the table and cause a bunch of wounds, this is definitely a great spell for them.
Yeah, it's that stacked +1 to wound, +1 to charge. Like, it's,
That's really great.
Yeah. I like the theming of it too. And like you talk about min-maxing your army. You can spread out your stuff and have be really effective in each phase, or you can focus on being just super effective at one point in the game. You're talking about your Alpha Strike armies, or this is the type of like running as fast as you can across the battlefield and doing as much damage as possible with your mass of people.
And because it's a spell, you're not using your command point.
No, that's true.
So you could look at it and say, hey, this hero buffs my wound rolls, but now you don't have to worry about spending that command point, possibly.
Yeah.
Because your spellcaster did it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no resource lost. Maybe you have a spellcaster that can only cast a single spell.
Yeah, but, like that, maybe that's better than the command point spent.
Yeah.
Because then you can spend that command point on something else.
Very true.
Yeah.
Mark, you want to do the next one?
Yeah, let's do that. All right, Inferno Blades. So this wizard imbues his allies' weapons with flame, burning everything they touch. So Inferno Blades has a casting value of 6. If successfully cast, you want to pick a friendly unit within 12 inches of the caster. Add 1 to the damage characteristic of melee weapons used by that unit until your next hero phase. So, all right.
Yeah. And if you got somebody that's stuck in, 2 rounds of combat.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty good. I mean, it's all right. Inferno Blades. And it's very characterful.
Yeah.
All their weapons burst.
Right. Yeah.
All right. What's the next one?
Fiery Blast. Gathering fiery energies, the wizard projects them forward to explode among the foe. Fiery Blast has a casting value of 7. If successfully cast, pick a point on the battlefield within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them. Roll a dice for each unit, friend or foe, within 3 inches of this point. On a 4-up, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah, I like
Mortal
this
wounds.
one. It's mortal wounds, and it hits multiple units.
Yeah, no,
So
that's
you
good.
picture the big combat phase. When finally everybody's stuck in, everybody's surrounded by people. If you've got things lined up right, you can hit all of your opponents at once. But it's a casting value of 7. Every time I see things go over 6, I think, my odds of getting that off just got worse.
But what if you have that caster
big.
that adds to the spell, the spell cast?
Yeah.
So if I think like Archon the Black, and then he adds +3, I think, at the beginning, like unhurt
Yeah.
to his casting. So now
Plus
it's a
3.
4-up.
Yeah, that's pretty good. 4 up on 2 dice. It's good. And it's just like a mortar. It's like a mortar team. 18 inches. So, that's the average that most attacks are about 18 inches that you can expect. Most spells, most shooting is about 18 inches, except for the really good stuff. So it's not great, but it's for late game or later in the game when everybody's stuck in. You can start hurting some people.
So if you were to cast this through the mirrors,
Ooh, yeah, the mirrors. I like the mirrors. Yeah, the spell mirrors. Yeah, the spell portals. The umbral spell portals is what they're called.
okay,
Yeah,
spell portals.
Spell portal. So when you cast the spell portals, the wizard that casts them needs to set them up within, I think, 12 inches of himself. Is that right? I think the one needs to be within so many inches of himself. The second
thought
one
like
could be
6.
12 inches from that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you set it up within an inch of your other wizard, and the second mirror is the 12 inches from that mirror. And so then when you cast the spell, it goes 18 inches out of the second mirror. So now that's a 30-inch spell
Yeah.
instead of a 12-inch spell. But
Yeah.
it's conditional. You got to get both off.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're planning to use the spell portals, set up your wizard that's going to cast the spell portals far enough away from your opponent's people that it's not that do the unbind roll, the ones that do the unbind roll. You want to be as far away as possible from them. So if you're outside of 30 of them, but your other wizard's closer, they might be able to get that spell through the portal.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one. The glare of Volcatrix. Their eyes turn to burning coals. The wizard's gaze falls upon an enemy warrior, reducing them to ash. The glare of Volcatrix has a casting value of 8. If successfully cast, pick an enemy unit within 9 inches of the caster that is visible to them. Roll a dice. If the result is higher than the unit's wounds characteristics, a model from that unit is slain.
So you're thinking like wound characteristics is gonna be hopefully 1
or 2.
or 2.
Yeah, most units. So you kill 1.
Yeah.
A model from that unit is slain unless you rolled, a 1. But you have to roll an 8 to do it.
The unit's wounds characteristics. So your casting value of 8, and you're doing possible 1
wound
model slain. So what you're doing, honestly, there is you're looking for the chance to kill, like, maybe not a skull crusher, because they're like 5 wounds.
That's tough.
You're
you
looking
roll
to
an 8,
kill like a 3 wound model.
Yeah, or a hero that's a 5 wound model that's already been wounded. No, it's a
Yeah.
wounds characteristic, not their current wounds.
Right.
Yeah. So
So you're looking to get like one of those cavalry units that has like 3 wounds, or beefy guys that has 3 wounds.
Yeah,
that
fair enough.
you're looking like a 50-50 chance to maybe take a model off the table.
yeah,
Possibly.
it seems like really high odds, but it does say slay them outright. So a model from that unit is slain.
Right. So there's no save
Right. So if you do have
other than like a magic save.
right, no, not even. It just says they're slain. There's no save because there's no wound allocated. The model is just slain. So there's no save of any kind. So that makes it nice. But still, you need an 8 to cast, and to make it really fun and exciting, you want to take out something that's 3 wounds, 4 wounds.
Oh, at the least.
Yeah.
So you got to get the 8 to cast, and then you want to roll better than a 3 or 4 to kill it.
Yeah. It's like there's 2 stages of
Yeah.
greater than 50-50.
Yeah, but if you get this thing to happen, and you take out that like,
big.
take out that 5 wound model, something like that. It's a lot of die rolls to take the chance. But if you've got nothing else to do that turn, you know what I mean?
And I go back to death. Like if you're running the Archon list and they've got the spellcaster, the Necromancer has this as their thing, and then Archon can choose a spell that somebody else has as well.
Yeah.
Then that's potentially like opportunity of 2 people casting that spell.
True.
And there's
Yeah.
like Archon getting the buff, and so there's possibility.
And there's some armies too that can just pick a die roll and re-roll it.
Yeah.
So and this is one of those things where when you're doing the roll higher than their wounds characteristic, you've got a better chance of rolling a high number. If you're looking for a 5, you get 2 chances to roll a 5. That's not so bad.
Yeah. I compare it, but then if you compare it to like the fireball or something like that, where it's like if you get the opportunity to cast something that can do D3 mortal wounds, are you going to go for the opportunity to do D3 mortal wounds or try to slay a 3-wound model at a 50-50 roll? I don't know. It's just like, why not just try these every once in a while and just mix it up?
Yeah, it's
and
fun.
Just see what happens.
And I can picture like a game where I'm playing, like I've got the Doomfire Warlocks running around, and for some reason, like I just want to hunt your hero. You know what I mean? I want to hunt your 5-wound hero, and this is a fun like sniper spell.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I want to just like
I could see like orc wise, like or Orc wise, like the shaman just going for it, saying like, "There's the Skull Crusher. I got a chance for a 6-up." And just
rolling
for
this
it.
little
That's
guy,
big.
this like
Hell
60-point spellcaster, just chasing this guy around who's this like 300-point guy.
Yeah.
Or like or whatever, not 300-point, but
1 in 6 chance. Here we go.
yeah,
Yeah.
I got him. That would be pretty cool. Mark,
Parch. So the wizard superheats the air around the enemy until they are so dehydrated they can barely lift their weapons. I can relate to that one.
Yep.
So a Parch has a casting value of 6. If successfully cast, you want to pick an enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster. That unit must have its move characteristic until your next hero phase. In addition, roll a dice each time that unit completes a charge move until your next hero phase. On a 5-up, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds.
yeah, this is this is the spell of Warlando.
Yes, yeah.
Yep, superheat the air around them so they are weak and useless.
Yeah.
That sounds like August in Florida.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, it's another one that's kind of fun.
And it's only a 6-up.
Only a 6-up to cast.
Right. And it's having the move characteristic.
Yep.
So that's crucial.
Yeah, that's big.
And that could be, it's doing it until your next hero phase. So if that unit gets, like, if that army gets like a back-to-back turn,
initiative, yeah.
both turns have the move characteristic. That could be pretty annoying.
Yeah, really annoying. So say I'm used to my witch elves moving 6. All right, so now they can only move 3 inches. So I don't get to charge you the next turn. Yeah, I rolled the initiative. I still only have a 3-inch move.
Then you are then choosing, do you want to go first or go second?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So maybe it's a deterrent to choosing to go first.
You skip the double turn because
you cast
of
that
it.
spell, and now they choose not to go first, and now you get the upper hand.
That's a really good point.
So there's potential in that spell.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely potential. And the thought of like, okay, I on a 5-up suffer that D3 mortal wounds. That's D3 mortal wounds is like the going like it's the amount of damage that seems to be the most consistent like
Mortal wound
output.
Yeah.
If you see D6 mortal wounds, that's a big deal.
That's big.
All right, last one.
Yep.
Incandescent form. Speaking words of power, the wizard's body turns into incandescent liquid rock, blinding their enemies with their radiance. Incandescent form has a casting value of 6. If successfully cast, subtract 1 from the hit rolls for attacks that target the caster until your next hero phase. It's subtracting 1
from hit rolls
that target
the caster.
So you got to think highly of yourself.
Yeah, but if you've got like a Nagash who can cast like something ridiculous like 7 spells in a turn, and your whole like army, like you spent 600 whatever how many points on just him.
Yeah.
You want to keep him alive the whole game. You can cast this every turn.
That's a good defensive spell.
And everybody's going to try to shoot him off the table.
Yeah, you want to get rid of him as soon as possible.
That's the huge thing for, KO is if you're going against Nagash, shoot him off the table first turn.
Yeah.
Then you
won.
Have a chance.
Yeah. Essentially, if you get rid of Nagash right there, that's like whatever. A 2,000 point game. That's 25% of the army right there.
Yeah.
With that one model, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Huge. Yeah, that is awesome. So those are the spells of Aqshy.
Yes.
What do you think? If you have a wizard, do you think you're likely to I like that list of spells?
I mean, is it weird for Nagash to say, "Hey, I came from Aqshy at some point. You know what? I did my understudy in Aqshy, and that's where I learned my incandescent form."
I could see that, but he's like this all-knowing wizard. He's like the fucking wizard of Warhammer. He's the guy. He's the all-knowing necromancer. So
he could be like, I absorbed somebody at some point and just stole that from them.
The model himself, he's like holding a book and he's surrounded by flying books. So he's got all the spell books.
He took that book from somebody
at some point and
he's learned that spell because he was like, hell yeah.
He's like, here I am to fight this battle. Oh, this time I'm using my book of fire spells. He's going to use whichever book is useful to him. He's like a wizard jack of all trades.
Yeah.
So he could
I could see that one being killer for him.
Oh,
because
yeah.
that keeps him alive.
It keeps him alive. There's lots of fun. If you were doing it seems pretty harsh magically. It's definitely and if you're the type of person too, it's just I don't care about utility spells. I just want to cause damage. I just want my wizard to be like an artillery cannon, and that. I think that one seems to have some potential for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's the spells of Aqshy. We're going to take one more break, and then we will come back and just talk about modeling, sculpting, and what the realm of battle looks like on the table.
I like your voice in my ears more than mine. Just saying.
Well, nobody likes their own voice, right?
Yes.
Nope. No.
Nobody likes their own voice.
And if they do, there's something wrong with them.
Yes.
Exactly.
All right, here we are. We are back. So this has been an episode of Warlando where we talk about Age of Sigmar.
Yes, and specifically...
Specifically, we talked about the realm of fire.
Yes.
Aqshy. Where I fell into a burning realm of fire.
Yes.
Which is one of my all-time favorite songs.
Did you have to sing it?
I fell into a burning realm of fire. Yeah, I don't like the way that sounded. But anyway, there's a reason I don't sing for a living. So that's been an episode. What do you guys think?
I like Aqshy. It's although it's the first realm we're diving into in this series, it seems like a pretty fun place to play.
Yeah. What do you think, Mark?
It's really exciting. It's the first time I've cracked open the core book and actually gotten into the just the depth and flavor of this new world, and I'm really liking it.
Me too. So. I still feel like the core rule book has really helped coalesce my mental picture of what actually is. Because the pictures that you see, it's like all this fire everywhere and darkness. It's either dark or fire. And it's just there's not much else in between. But I'm picturing this more natural world that has plant life, that has, farmers and villagers and people and cities that aren't constantly, surrounded by volcanoes. It's not everywhere. But it could be like Pompeii.
But I think there's a cycle. I think there's a cycle that these people experience, where there's a cycle of devastation.
Yeah,
natural disaster.
Like Pompeii, like all these other different, is it Greenland or Iceland that frequently has volcanic eruption?
Every 4,000 years,
this
volcano erupts and destroys everything.
Yeah.
Or it could be sooner. Could be every 400 years.
Yeah, and these guys, they don't know when it's going to happen. That's another one we didn't talk about, the Skaven city.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, did you read about that one?
Oh, yeah. No, I was looking at that.
Yeah, they built their city on a fault line. So it's constantly suffering earthquakes, but they're Skaven, so they don't care. Okay, this building collapsed, build it again, just rebuild. They're constantly bustling and going.
Right,
these
exactly.
rat people. So
they're like the Doozers from Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, exactly. Except
A little bit more demented.
more demented, more
Yeah.
violent, more chaotic.
Fair
a little
enough.
bit more,
Yeah.
because they would like overrun the Fraggles and tear them to pieces and eat them. That's if the Doozers were Skaven, they would have eaten all the Fraggles.
Yeah, that's
Who
true.
says that
Yeah,
didn't
there we
happen?
go.
though? I mean, there's a reason why
Yeah.
that they, stopped
Ooh,
that show.
I see a Fraggle
that's a
Rock
point.
reboot. in
Don't
the,
get me started on Fraggle Rock. I could talk for ages about Fraggle Rock and my I did this whole thing in school for a sociology and film class where I talked at length about Fraggle Rock and capitalism. So
Hey, all right. That might have to be another episode.
it'll be a totally separate episode. Anyway, so Realm of Aqshy, you guys like it?
I'm digging it.
Digging.
Yeah, there's lots of
Digging
fun
it.
stuff. The history of the realms, everything in the core book, the Malign Portents book. Fun stuff. So I guess it's time for our sign-offs. What I would like to start us doing on our sign-offs we talked about before, I would like for you, if you want to get in touch with us, wherever you are wherever you are listening to this podcast, please leave a comment. Anything you do that you interact with us puts us out there so that more people can hear us, and then we get more feedback from other people, and we can try and keep entertaining you. If you are entertained, hopefully, are you not entertained? Hopefully we can keep doing that for you. If you want to get in touch with me on Twitter, I am at Warlando777 on Twitter. Warlando spelled Warlando, Warlando777 on Twitter, or on Instagram, just Warlando, Warlando, Warlando on Instagram. Do you guys have any way you want people to get in touch with you? It's fine if you don't.
You can get a hold of Nicholas at Nicolunch on Twitter. So NICHOLUNCH.
Nicolunch.
Nicolunch.
Yes.
And our Facebook page is just Warlando.
Yeah, that's true. We have our Facebook group, Warlando, that you can get in touch with us, and where we try to put together other people in Orlando or Central Florida. We try to help people meet up for games and try and coordinate this Orlando Warhammer community. Mark, is there any way you want people to get in touch with you?
It's going to be either through Adam's page or Nicholas's page because I have yet to make any of my social profiles. So yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, eventually,
It'll come.
I'm slow to the take.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you message me and say, I love your voice, it's probably going to be for Mark. And that's okay. And I will pass it along. So please tell me.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've been hanging around with people, and people like Mark starts talking, and people look at him like, "Oh, you've got a great radio voice."
That's right. That's awesome. I've also been told I have a face for radio, so yeah, that works as well.
I'm right there with you. I don't have a face for TV. I also don't have a voice for radio. I'm hoping I can get a pantomime thing going, one of those shadow puppets. That's the only media I can take part in.
It's your fingers for those painting videos.
Oh,
Everybody
there we
loves your
go.
fingers.
Oh
That's
yeah,
right.
my furry knuckles.
Yeah,
when
that's
I'm doing
great.
my
It's
painting videos.
it's like the perfect Paul Olive hand model, shots.
That's what I'll do a cutaway like that one time. I'll be painting and I'll just have the camera pan over and I'll put my fingers right in that
There we
bowl
go.
of palm olive.
Exactly.
Palm
Olive, yes.
plum olive. And I want you guys listening to also understand that if it's the end of an episode, that we have probably each had a 6-pack of beer. That's not healthy. It just, we've been sitting here for a long time.
Hey.
And that's what ends up happening.
It happens.
It happens. You guys, anything else you want to say?
Have a good night. Thanks for listening. And
absolutely.
enjoy some Warhammer.
Yeah, go out there, play, and it's all about the story. Remember that.
Yes, play. It's all about the story. And get excited about your games, because it's not about dice. It's not about miniatures. It's about the story.
Yeah.
It's all about the story. So I think maybe we do a new tradition. We'll see how it goes this one time. You guys know what orcs say when it's time to go to war. Mm-hmm. So on the count of 3, we're going to 3 say it, and that'll be our sign off. So good night, everybody. 1, 2, 3.
Aqshy, the realm of fire. Aqshy, the realm of fire.
Realm of Fire.
They rely on those still suits, to be able to recycle what
Yeah.
they're expelling.
Yeah.
What they're expelling. What
Yeah.
they're expelling.
Aqshy,